In today's lesson, we're going to look at fractions of amounts. Today, we're going to try and define the meaning of a unit fraction. You're going to demonstrate the simplest way to find a fraction of an amount. And hopefully, you'll be able to explain the rule for finding different fractions of amounts. Let's start by looking at a definition. Do you know what a unit fraction is? Pause the video and see if you can tell your screen. A unit fraction is a fraction where the numerator, so the number on the top, is 1. Let's have a look at some numbers and see if we can decide if they are tick, a unit fraction, or cross, not a unit fraction. My first example is 1/2, or a half. Is that a unit fraction? Yes, because the numerator, the number on top, is 1. What about 2/8? Is that a unit fraction? No, the numerator is 2, so it is not a unit fraction. What about 1/9? 1/9 is a unit fraction because the numerator is 1. How about 1/3? That's also a unit fraction because the numerator is 1. 1/7 is my next fraction. Is that a unit fraction? Yes, because the number at the top is 1. My last fraction is 5/6. Is that a unit fraction? No, that is not a unit fraction because the numerator is 5. So all of these on the left are unit fractions because the numerator, the number on the top, is 1. For your first task, I would like you to have a go on Google Form at the task called Unit Fractions or Not. It's multiple choice and should take you about 3 minutes. Pause the video now. How did you get on? Did you manage to get 12 out of 12? Well done. Okay, let's have a look then at how we can find a unit fraction of an amount. On the screen you should see my 3 examples. The first one should be the easiest and it is half of 26. Half is a nice easy fraction to work out because half means I just split it into 2 equal groups. If I want to split 26 into 2 equal groups, I can do that by doing the division 26 divided by 2. Can you work that out in your head? 26 divided by 2. You might need to use the bus stop method, where we put 26 under the bus stop and the 2 on the outside. And we say how many 2's go into 2? 1. How many 2's go into 6? 3. So the answer is 13. Half of 26 is 13. I'm just dividing by 2. My next example is 1/4 of 40. And 1/4 is still quite a nice fraction to work out. What it really means is 40 divided by 4. But a secret trick to work out 1/4 is to halve it and half it again. If I did 40 divided by 4 and I needed to use the bus stop method, I could say how many 4's go into 4? 1. How many 4's go into 0? 0. And the answer would be 10. But just to show you, I could also do half of 40. So halve it would be 20, and then halve it again. So half of 20 is 10. And that gets me to the same answer. So you might prefer that method of halve it and halve it again. My final example of a unit fraction of amount is a third of 27. For this question, I need to do 27 split evenly into 3 groups. For this one, I'm probably best to count out my 3 times table. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24, 27. Oh, that's the one I want. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So the answer is 9. You might find your times tables grid in your planner helpful for this task. Before I set you off on the task, I just want to see if you can spot what I've done for each question. To find a half, I divided by 2. To find a quarter, I divided by 4. And to find a third, I divided by 3. What do you think I would need to divide by if I wanted to find a fifth? Perfect, I would need to divide by 5. You might want to just write that down to help you with the next task. So for task number 2, I want you to have a go at the Google form Unit Fractions of Amounts. Spend some time using your times table grid or trying out your bus stop method to choose the correct answers. Give yourself about 10 minutes on this task and then come back for the final part of the lesson. How did you get on? Did you manage to score more than 9? Really, really well done if you scored more than 9. If you didn't, you might want to go back and have a second try. So, now you can work out unit fractions of amounts. Let's find some trickier examples to have a go at. My first example on the screen is 3/4 of 24. Now we're going to use a bit of a trick to find these fractions of amounts. The denominator is my divisor, the thing that I divide by, because it's under my division line. Have you ever noticed that a division symbol, I'll put it in the right hand corner, is just a fraction with a dot on the top for the numerator and a dot on the bottom for the denominator? That's because a division is a fraction and the number on the bottom is what I am dividing by. So for the first example, I am going to do step number 1, 24 divided by 4. Use your times table grids to work out that answer. How many 4s make 24? The answer is 6. So that is 1/4 of 24. But I don't want 1/4 anymore. I want 3/4. So if I know 1/4 is 24, how do I work out 3 of them? Perfect. I'm going to do step number 2, which is my answer, bloop, and I'm going to times it by 3. So 6 times 3 is 18, and that is 3/4 of 24. What a handy trick that is. Let's try it on the 2 slightly harder examples, but now we know the trick, they should be really easy. So step number 1 is I divide by the denominator. So I'm going to do my number 21 divided by 7. Use your times tables grids to have a go at working that out. How many 7s make 21? Lovely, it's 3. So that tells me 1/7. That tells me the unit fraction. But remember, for this question, I don't want a unit fraction. I don't want 1/7. I want 2/7. So for step number 2, I'm going to bring that answer down. And I'm going to times it by the top. 3 times 2. I bet you don't even need your planner for that one. 3 times 2 is 6. And that is 2/7 of 21. That's my answer. Let's take a look at one final example. Hopefully we've got the trick now. Step number 1. I divide by the denominator. So for 3/5 of 20, I do 20 divided by 5. I look in my planner, I look on my times tables grid, and I can see that there are 4 5s that make 20. And that is the unit fraction 1/5. But in this question, I don't want 1/5. How many do I want? Yeah, I want 3/5 for this question. So step 2 is I bring that answer down, loop, and I times it by the top. And 4 times 3, use your planner if you need to. 4 lots of 3 is 12, and that is 3/5, and that's my answer. How handy is that little trick? So what's the trick we've used there? What are the 2 steps? Let's remember the rule. We divide by the denominator. Divide the denominator. Step 2 is we times by the top. Now really that's called the numerator, but it doesn't quite sit as nicely. So divide the denominator, times by the top. Maybe write that rule down to help you on the final task. So for today's final task, I'd like you to have a go at the Google form fractions of amounts. It's another 15 marks, but I think you will be amazing at this. Use your planner to help you with the division and the multiplication questions. And don't forget our rule. Divide by the denominator, then times by the top. Good luck.